All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, it's time to go over some of the technical categories in the Academy Awards. I haven't really mentioned any of those here for a little bit, so it's time to get back into those. Also, we'll update you on what's coming up here. We've got the Producers Guild Awards. That's a big one coming up on Saturday, and on Sunday we have the Screen Actors Guild Awards. So we've got those are two pretty big ones there. And we saw when was it, back in 2014? Yeah, the Birdman year. We saw it was like Boyhood was winning everything up until then. Then all of a sudden PGA went with Birdman, and then SAG went with Birdman, and then DGA went with Birdman, and kind of won the triple crown, if you will, of these Guild Awards, and won at the Oscars too. So we'll see if I don't know if there's a film this year that's going to do it. If we look at it, Shape of Water is nominated at PGA and DGA, but it's not nominated at SAG, so it can't win all three of those. Three Billboards is up for all three. Get Out, I believe, is up for all three, and Lady Bird is also up for all three. So if one of those happens to sweep all of them, which at this point I don't think it's likely. I think Del Toro has got director over at DGA, and Dunkirk could win DGA too. It's also up for PGA, but it's not up at SAG, and I don't think it's got a good chance of winning PGA, not at this rate at least. So, so for right now, we're thinking probably a Triple Crown winner like we saw in 2014. Not going to happen. It didn't happen in 2015. It didn't happen last year either, since La La Land was not nominated at SAG. So I think we're going to have, for sure, Shape of Water wins PGA. Or, sorry, DGA, I mean, sorry. I think PGA right now I have it going to Lady Bird, but after it got shut out of the Critics' Choice, I might, I don't know, I'm on the fence, because if it doesn't go to that, then Get Out, I think, has a chance. Three Billboards has a chance. Shape of Water has a chance, especially since it won Critics' Choice Best Film there. So, that one's kind of weird. And then SAG, I think, goes to Three Billboards. I think that's an easy pick there, for now at least. But I can still see Get Out or Lady Bird winning there. But I'm a little more confident on Three Billboards winning that one. Anyway, so with that, let's go ahead and get right into the technical categories here. There are a couple of changes I've made to some of those big 8 categories in the top categories there. And then I'm also going to do a rundown for the number of nominations every film is going to get, at least by my predictions here. All right, so we're going to start actually with a pretty easy category. Let's hope easy category. Cinematography. I think Blade Runner's got it. Blade Runner has won just about everything it can up to this point, and Roger Deakins finally, it looks like, is going to get his win for this one. But also in contention here is Dunkirk. I have The Shape of Water getting in. I have Three Billboards getting into cinematography, and Darkest Hour. The Three Billboards thing, it got in at BAFTA for cinematography, which is a big sign. I think if it gets in here at the Oscars, that's great, and it's a good sign that it's definitely going to be a big contender in Best Picture. Also, I think if Three Billboards gets into original score, which I don't have predicted right now, but if it gets into score for Carter Burwell, that's definitely that would get it up to 9 nominations by my estimate. Right now, I just have it at 8 with cinematography. We'll get more into that later. But anyways, Darkest Hour is also kind of a weak link here. It's one that so far it's really underwhelmed. It only got in for 1 Globe race, 1 SAG race. Didn't fare too well at Critics' Choice outside of Gary Oldman's win. It did get a few other nominations there in those tech categories, but and then some of the guilds are going for it too. So I think I have it in there. But I'm a little weary of Call Me by Your Name. The cinematography in that, I remember when I was watching the movie, I was like, man, that could really get in for cinematography. There's a lot of good long shots and stuff. So that one I would not be surprised by. Also, The Post, which The Post, by the way, I've pulled out of a lot of my predictions, including director and a few other ones here and there. But that's Janusz Kaminski. They always love Janusz Kaminski. He didn't get in for Bridge of Spies either, so that's my thinking there. But definitely, you've got a couple outside contenders there for sure. All right, we'll move on now to costume design. This one, I have Beauty and the Beast winning for now, but I could easily be convinced of that Phantom Thread could come back and win this, definitely. It won at Critics' Choice, and it looks like it'll probably win all the guilds and stuff going up to it. So that one would not surprise me. Also, Phantom Thread is a much more likely Best Picture contender than, say, Beauty and the Beast or The Greatest Showman, which I also have nominated here. The other two slots I have going to Darkest Hour and The Shape of Water. Yeah, I think these five are about it. Let's see, I'm trying to think what else here. They could go for an oddball pick like I, Tonya, which was nominated for costume design of all places at BAFTA. And Murder on the Orient Express also has a lot of, it's a big ensemble piece with a lot of costumes and stuff, so they could go with that too as one of the five slots. But otherwise, I like these five for sure for that category. All right, film editing. This is a big one here. Anyway, so I think Dunkirk wins this. It won at Critics' Choice. Actually, it tied with Baby Driver. I've also got Get Out nominated here, The Shape of Water, Three Billboards, and Blade Runner I have getting in. A little shaky on the Blade Runner thing. Having not seen the film, I don't know, but yeah, as far as the editing goes here, we could also see, like, I don't have Baby Driver in right now, even though it tied at Critics' Choice. But that one I can see getting in. The Post I can see getting in. That's Michael Kahn, again, another Spielberg frequent collaborator. I, Tonya, I think deserves a spot for film editing. I just love that movie to pieces, but that one, I think it's got a kind of a dark horse shot there. Also, Darkest Hour. Lady Bird is another one. Now, if Lady Bird can get in here to film editing, that's one that makes me say, okay, maybe it is the Best Picture winner, because going back to the Birdman thing, Birdman won Best Picture without a film editing nomination, the first time that had been done in 34 years. You have to go all the way back to Ordinary People before that to find an example of a Best Picture winner that was not nominated, at least for film editing, to win Best Picture. And then we saw both Spotlight and Moonlight were nominated for film editing too. So that's a pretty big thing there. Let's see. There was one other one I was going to mention here, but I forgot what it was now. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, film editing, it's kind of a crowded field this year for sure. I'm going with these five, but again, I'm not 100% confident in these. Three Billboards I could see falling out. Blade Runner I can see falling out in favor of, say, Baby Driver or The Post or Darkest Hour, or even I, Tonya, if it has enough passion votes behind it. But I think for sure Shape of Water, Get Out, and Dunkirk are looking very good for this category, at least. All right, going over to makeup and hairstyling, I have Darkest Hour winning here. It made the short list, and kind of surprising because it's like there's always this big contender every year that's up for makeup that looks like it's the front runner, looks like it's going to win the whole thing, and all of a sudden it doesn't make the short list, like Rush and The Butler in 2013 and Into the Woods in 2014. There's a couple other examples there, but those two for sure were glaring ones. But Darkest Hour looks like it's got its path cleared. Jackie was another one last year. Hacksaw Ridge, and there was one other one. I forgot what it was now. What was the other one last year? Anyways, but those were a couple from last year that I was like, oh yeah. Fantastic Beasts. That was one that didn't make the short list, but looked like it would be a very likely contender there. Anyway, so yeah, Darkest Hour. I also have Wonder getting in, and I, Tonya, I have getting one of the slots here. Now, just to name off, because it's only up to, they have 7 in the finalists here, so the other 4 are Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Bright, Victoria and Abdul, and Ghost in the Shell. And for sure, I don't think Ghost in the Shell is going to get in. For sure, I think Victoria and Abdul is probably, well, actually, I don't know. That one could get in. I'm writing off Ghost in the Shell. I don't think that's going to happen. Bright, I think it's, we saw, what's his name, David Ayer's last film, Suicide Squad, won this category last year. So they like him. And it does have the Netflix factor against it, so that's why I'm not picking it too. But I don't know. That could be the first kind of tech category nomination we see for a Netflix film, could be Bright. The thing with Guardians, the first film was nominated for makeup. It was also in, I think, for visual effects and one of the sound categories or something. I think it got 3 nominations, or 2 or 3, whatever it was. But at this rate, I don't see Guardians performing very well here at all at the Oscars. So I think that's what helped Guardians get nominated in 2014, was the fact that it had other nominations and stuff. But this time, I don't think it gets anything else. So that's why I'm going with those 3. Okay, moving on now to production design. I have Shape of Water winning this. It's won about everything so far. I think this will be an easy one. Blade Runner in second place. Dunkirk I have in there, Darkest Hour, and then Beauty and the Beast in fifth place. But again, there's for sure Phantom Thread and Greatest Showman are going to be threats here for sure. We'll see how much they love Greatest Showman. For me personally, I didn't really like the movie that much, but the production design, costumes, all that looked great for sure. Haven't seen Phantom Thread yet, but that one, especially if it wins costume design, there's a good correlation between this and production design. So we've seen that over the years. The Post is one that originally I was thinking would have a shot, but I don't think so anymore. And also Murder on the Orient Express is another one that kind of like costume design. It could be a real dark horse for one of these slots here. Okay, move on now to original score. And this one I think again goes to Shape of Water, easy bet. Phantom Thread I have in second place, Dunkirk in third. The Post I have getting in there, and Darkest Hour in fifth place. Again, if Three Billboards can get in here, this could be another big sign that it has a lot of support, maybe more support than we were originally thinking. Also, we've got to consider Blade Runner in there, even though it does have 2 or 3 composers to it, which usually the Academy doesn't go for. Also, Star Wars is here for The Last Jedi, and John Williams, it's the last one, Force Awakens, he got in for that. But I don't see him pulling the double nomination this time. He's done it before, but I don't think so, not this time. So they could swap in Last Jedi for The Post here, but The Post I think easily is going to be the bigger Best Picture contender between those two. Also, Victoria and Abdul is one I'm looking at here too because it's Thomas Newman. They love Thomas Newman. He got in last year for Passengers, and I was I didn't necessarily see it coming, but afterwards I was like, that makes the most sense in the world because it's Thomas Newman. So if I might change that one later on. I'm on the fence on that one because they love Thomas Newman more than life itself in this category. So they could go with him getting one of the slots over Darkest Hour or over The Post. But I think those top 3 are pretty safe. Okay, now moving on to original song. I think this goes to Remember Me for Coco. Greatest Showman, This Is Me, is definitely going to be a contender here. The Mystery of Love for Call Me By Your Name I have getting in. Evermore from Beauty and the Beast I have getting in. And I'm going with Prayers for This World from Cries from Syria. I haven't heard the song, but I think a lot of people like that one. Also, I've heard Stand Up for Something from Marshall is one that some people like. I still want to see this one happen. That's The Promise from the movie The Promise. That's Chris Cornell. He passed away earlier this year, so if there's sentiment there, I can see him getting in. I actually had it into my 5th slot here a while ago, but then I pulled it out. But that's one I might switch over to. Okay, moving on. We're going to take care of the sound categories next. Sound editing is up first. Dunkirk wins this, I think, pretty easy. Blade Runner I have in second place. Star Wars in third. Shape of Water in fourth. And Baby Driver in fifth place. I think it was Wonder Woman got one of these nominations, or was that Sound Mixing? One of the guilds, one of the sound guilds had Wonder Woman nominated. I can see that happening. Sometimes they go for the kind of not biographical, but based on a true story movies like Deepwater Horizon got a nomination here last year. It also got into visual effects. So the only one really that matches that one this year would be Only the Brave, but that one has absolutely been skunked this year. And personally, which I think is a travesty, because I think it's one of the 4 best films of the year. I think it should be in for picture. It should be in for supporting actress for sure. Jennifer Connelly in that movie is amazing. The screenplay is actually really good, and in a weak adapted screenplay year, I think that should be one of the nominated screenplays. Visual effects, I thought the effects looked terrific in that. And yeah, the sound was terrific. Trying to think what else did I really like. I like Josh Brolin a lot, but I don't know if he's necessarily one of the 5 best for best actor. But that's one, I would be wholly surprised, and I would be very happy to see that one get nominated. But I don't know. Doesn't look good right now. Okay, sound mixing. I have going to Dunkirk, Blade Runner, Star Wars, Shape of Water, and Baby Driver. So yeah, those 5 again. But I am very weary here because there's 3 films I can see getting in. It's very rare that we've seen sound mixing and sound editing match up 5 for 5 for nominees. We haven't seen that in a while. I'll have to look back, but I think it's been, gosh, I think it's been more than 5 years since I think we've seen that happen. It's like the sound mixing branch typically wants to go for something else, but yeah, they there's three slots for sure, three films that I think have a very good shot of actually upsetting something like Baby Driver or maybe Shape of Water. And that would be The Greatest Showman because they like musicals in this category. We saw La La Land was nominated here last year. It should have won, really, but of course things fell apart for La La Land last year. And then also Wonder Woman again. I think it was, yeah, it was one again. It was one of these sound guilds that got in for, so I can see that happening. Then the other one is The Post because they love Spielberg in this category, sound mixing. Bridge of Spies got in when nobody saw it coming. What else? War Horse was nominated here. Lincoln was nominated here. Was Tintin? No, Tintin wasn't. But yeah, Spielberg always does very well here in this particular category, sound mixing. So that one, I had it in for a long, long time, but I don't know. The Post has really fallen out here lately. And I think Bridge of Spies, if I remember right, did get a nomination from the Guild, too, for one of the sound guilds. I think it was Sound. I can't even remember at this rate. But I remember when I saw that one when I mentioned Wonder Woman, The Post was not nominated there. So yeah, I have that one pulled out. But again, I'll be kicking myself if I get that one wrong. Okay, moving on. Visual effects. This should be an easy win for War for the Planet of the Apes. I'm hoping. I have Star Wars in second, Blade Runner in third, Shape of Water in fourth, and Dunkirk in fifth. Yeah, maybe I should bump up Shape of Water and Dunkirk because sometimes in visual effects they like to go with a Best Picture nominee or a film that's likely, or a film that's more like a Best Picture nominee. So like Interstellar won in 2014 over the other Planet of the Apes film. We've seen, of course, Gravity win here. Ex Machina was kind of an exception from a couple of years ago, but yeah, usually they'll go with something like that. But I think Planet of the Apes has won just about everything here. Okay, now we'll get into. Oh wait, there's animated feature. We skipped over that. I always skip over animated. That's always like the last one I get to. Coco, I have winning this one. I think that's an easy bet. Then I've got Loving Vincent in second place. There is love for the movie. The Lego Batman in third, the Breadwinner in fourth, and I have Ferdinand getting in fifth place. Trying to think what else here. Despicable Me has done okay for the season here. It's gotten a few nominations here and there. There's also Mary and the Witch's Flower, which is one that some people are really highlighting, saying it's really good. So that one, I've heard it from a couple of places, but I wouldn't be shocked if that one got one of the slots. Foreign film, Fantastic Woman is my bet at this rate, but I could easily see The Square winning this. In the Fade just won the Globe, so that one might get some steam going here. Loveless is another one I've heard a lot about. I also have Foxtrot getting in here, so those are my five. But yeah, other than that, I'm not really hearing a lot of buzz for any of the other four films, which are The Insult, The Wound, On Body and Soul, and Felicity. I think that's how it's pronounced. Anyways, I have not heard like hardly anything about those other four, so I think it's those five. Okay, now we'll get into this. Yeah, this is where I really start to say, okay, I'm just going to go with what the odds say for most of these. Okay, starting with documentary feature. Jane, I have in first place. This is one that some people really, really like, and that's one that a lot of people have been talking about. I have Faces, Places in second place. I've actually heard more buzz on this one, Faces, Places, than I have on some of the other films. I think it's even topped some critics' lists for best film of the year. So this one I might actually bump up to first place later on, but I don't know. Icarus I have in third, The City of Ghosts in fourth, and Last Man in Aleppo in fifth. Let's see here. Ex Libris is one I've heard a lot about. It's been nominated a few places here and there. So that one I'm thinking might get a slot. LA 92. Which one? I think that's the one. I'm trying to think if that is. Okay, no, I was thinking that was the John Ridley one, but that was a different one because I remember there was this big thing last year in this category with the OJ not miniseries, sorry, the OJ documentary, the Made in America, the one that's like 7.5 hours. and it played in a few theaters here and there to qualify, but then otherwise it was mostly known for playing on ESPN. So that means it also qualified for the Emmys and so on. So and they had a big rule after the win there, and they said no, we can't do that anymore. So I know there was the one. It was the Rodney King riots thing or documentary that aired on ABC that John Ridley did. I think it was like a 2 or 3 part special or whatever it was. And I remember there was a lot of buzz after that aired that people said, "Oh, that should be up for documentary and stuff." But then, then that ruling happened. So that was one that I know some people have been talking about, but doesn't qualify this year. Okay, now we're moving on to documentary short. Alone is one I've heard a lot about. Also, Heroin is another one. And then I've also got 10-meter tower, 116 cameras, and Heaven is a Traffic Jam on the 405. I've also heard a little bit about Edith and Eddie, and also Traffic Stop. So those are a couple other ones to mention there. Okay, now move on to the shorts, or the other 2 shorts, sorry. Animated short, In a Heartbeat is one I've heard. I think that one, let's see, was that one with one of the Disney ones? No, I'm thinking of something else. I have that one getting in. Then Cradle, Dear Basketball, Negative Space, and Lou. I've also heard a little bit of support for, oh God, I can't even think of it now. There was another one I saw some people were talking about. Fox and the Whale, that's the one. So maybe that one gets a slot too. Okay, and finally, live action short. DeKalb Elementary is the one everybody's talking about here. Also, The Silent Child, and Rise of a Star is another one I've heard of. And then Watu Wote, which is all of Us, I think is the translation of that. I've heard some support for that. And then I'm putting down Lost Face here. I think it just I've read up a little bit about this one. It looks like it'd be an interesting subject matter to get into. So I have that one. Some people are saying it's probably not going to get nominated, but I don't know. I have that one kind of down as a wild slot right now. Okay, so that's all I have on the tech and the smaller categories there. Let me just quickly, and I always say quickly, but we're here for another half hour. Let's run down the other categories here. Let's work our way up. I'm usually starting a picture and then working my way down. But let's work our way up from adapted screenplay here. The 5 I have getting in still are Call Me by Your Name, Molly's Game, Disaster Artist Wonder, and Last Flag Flying. Again, I'm going with Last Flag Flying, even though I've seen the movie. I didn't really like it. It's not all that terrific a screenplay. But it's Richard Linklater, who was nominated here a few years ago. He's been nominated for the Before trilogy. All but the first one, I think. He got 2 out of the 3 films nominated there for screenplay. So that's why I think they'll go with him. Otherwise, In a Heartbeat, I would go with Mudbound, but since the Netflix thing, and plus we've seen some of the guilds are putting it in the TV categories, which I think will really piss off some Oscar voters. I don't know if it'll necessarily be in this category, but maybe some of the other categories it's up for. Like it got into the Cinematography Guild. I don't see it getting in there at the Oscars. Another one people have mentioning, I mentioned it last time too, I think, is All the Money in the World. Again, I don't think it's all that spectacular a screenplay either. It's probably one of the weaker elements of the film. So that one I don't think gets in. The Beguiled I don't think gets in. That's got no traction whatsoever. Logan got a WGA nomination, but I don't see it going all the way to an Oscar nom. The only other one I think that has a chance here would be Wonderstruck, because it's Todd Haynes. He got in, or did he write Carol? I thought he did. But I remember that one was up for screenplay, so that would be the other one there. But otherwise, this category is kind of an empty field right now. Okay, going over to original screenplay. Again, this is probably the most competitive category of the year. 3 billboards I have up front, then Lady Bird, Get Out, Shape of Water, and The Post. But I could easily see The Big Sick getting in here. Let's see, I was trying to think. It got in, it did get in for WGA because 3 billboards was not eligible. I, Tonya was also nominated there, so that's one I would love to see that screenplay nominated. They always like a little bit of support for Paul Thomas Anderson. He got in for Inherent Vice and stuff like that. He missed for The Master, though. So that's one. I see, I don't know, actually, Inherent Vice was not nearly as well liked as The Master was. That got into 3 acting categories. Yeah. Otherwise, Darkest Hour could also be in contention here. That's Anthony McCartan, who got nominated a few years ago for Theory of Everything. Um, Otherwise, yeah, the rest of them, like, there's a few other ones like Wind River and Baby Driver, kind of some of my more favorite screenplays of the year, too. Those, yeah, I don't think they're going to get in here. But yeah, I'm kind of shaky on The Post getting it. It missed WGA, even though it was eligible. It's missed DGA. It's missed a few other ones here and there. So I could see it falling out of screenplay, but I think it still gets a picture nomination. I think it still has the support there. And it did get a screenplay nomination at the Globes. Um, so yeah, I think it's got enough support there over The Big Sick, which I don't necessarily see as a gigantic Best Picture contender at this rate. And yeah, so yeah, I think we're gonna keep it there. Okay, moving on to supporting actress. Man, we're seeing Allison Janney is starting to get on a roll here. I think she wins at SAG on Sunday too. Laurie Metcalf, I have in second place for Lady Bird, then Holly Hunter, Octavia Spencer for Shape of Water, and then Hong Chow, excuse me, for Downsizing in there. And yeah, I've seen all five of these. I don't know if I mention Hong Chow last time. Yeah, I liked her performance. Wasn't my wasn't like the best part of the movie by any means, but it was definitely one of the better performances of the film and one of the more interesting characters. Even though there's a lot of backlash to her performance and her character because of the accent and everything. And my response to that is, well, nobody was calling Fargo for that back in '96. Nobody's calling all the other ones because that's the thing is if it's an accent and it's performed well, then okay, and if it fits the character that you're telling. And I think they explained it very well as to why she has such a thick accent. It's kind of one of the story points in the movie. They explain it well enough, it fits, and yeah, it works. So I think that's yeah, I didn't necessarily have a problem with it, but I know there's all sorts of people that had a problem with it. But anyways, uh, another one of those Twitter things. All right, supporting actor. We're also seeing Sam Rockwell starting to get on a roll now for Three Billboards. I have him out front, and I think he also wins at SAG on Sunday. Willem Dafoe I have in second place, Armie Hammer in third, Richard Jenkins in fourth, and I put Woody Harrelson back in. I had Christopher Plummer in there a while ago, but I pulled him back out. I'm favoring Woody because he got in a BAFTA too. That's a big point there. He's also nominated at SAG. He's also kind of, and this is another thing too. I was kind of talking about it earlier, way earlier, right after I'd seen the movie. I think it was the Golden Globes video. I was talking about it. This kind of reminds me of the Michael Shannon nomination for Nocturnal Animals, because if you look at it, Michael Shannon got in. He's kind of the actor's actor. He's a character, very well respected character actor. He's been nominated before, and he's one of the higher points of the movie. That fits the bill for Woody Harrelson. I mean, he's the actor's actor. He's especially lately been doing a lot of great work in War for the Planet of the Apes and Edge of 16 or Edge of 17, excuse me, with Haley Steinfeld. He was terrific in that. Really great in Glass Castle, even though it was kind of a not so great film. He was really good in it. What was the other one? LBJ. I just saw that one a few months ago. He was really good in that, even though the film itself was kind of shaky, but his performance was really great. And he's got the Star Wars movie coming out here in a few months if they don't switch it and put it in December. And Venom, he's got all sorts of bigger projects coming up the pike here. So I think they go with Woody in this one. But I wouldn't be surprised if Christopher Plummer gets in. The thing that's keeping me from putting Plummer in though, we did just see, because we have to remember too, what anything that happens from here on out that's not officially announced by the Academy is it's not going to affect the voting because voting closed on Friday. So all the votes are in there. It takes a while to tabulate them and get everything situated. So it'll it's not till next Tuesday that we see nominations come out. But we saw one of the biggest stories last week was all about this pay dispute over between Michelle Williams and Mark Wahlberg, which puts a bad look on the movie itself. All the money in the world. Now, even though Plummer gets in at BAFTA and he got in at the Globes, he didn't win the Globe, which was kind of a thing that I think some voters were keeping an eye on. And then another thing too is if the movie's in a bad light, if you haven't seen it up till now, all of a sudden you're reading, oh, even when they reshot the movie for Christopher Plummer to get in, it caused another issue, another big controversy around the movie. So it's pretty much right now. I'm thinking another, that second controversy I think is starting to sink the movie a little bit. So yeah, so even though you don't have to hold Christopher Plummer accountable for that, he was the one you had to reshoot. So, and because of the reshoots, that caused the pay dispute. So it's like, you know, 2 and 2 equals 5 in this case. So um, yeah, I think that hurts it there. Again, I'm seeing a lot of support for Michael Stuhlbarg, but I don't think so. He hasn't gotten in anywhere. His only big Oscar scene in the movie is at the very end. And again, if you're not on board with the movie by that point, you've probably shut it off if you're a screener voter. Yeah, and then plus you've got Armie Hammer in there too. I don't see it being, let's say Richard Jenkins misses. I don't see it being 2 nominees for one film, 2 nominees for another film, and Willem Dafoe. I don't see that happening. All right, moving on to lead actress. I think after Judi Dench missed BAFTA, I think that cleared it up. I think it's 100% going to be Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards, Saoirse Ronan for Lady Bird, Sally Hawkins, Shape of Water, Meryl Streep for The Post, and Margot Robbie for I, Tonya. I think it's those 5, no questions. Now, as far as who's going to win, Frances won Critics' Choice. She won the Globe. I think if she wins SAG, I think it's over. But if SAG goes to Saoirse or Sally, I think there's still going to be some mystery left as far as who can win. Yeah. Otherwise, the only other one I can see getting in is Judi. Because, like I said, Victoria and Abdul, I can see it. I can see it potentially getting into score. I can see it maybe getting one of those makeup slots, which means they could, maybe there's enough support for it. She did get in at Critics' Choice, and she got in at, or was she in at Critics' Choice? I don't think she was. No, she wasn't. She was up at SAG and the Globes. That's what it was. Yeah, so she has some support for sure. The only other one would be Jessica Chastain, but again, she missed BAFTA. Missed out at SAG. She's only got the Globe, kind of like the Miss Sloane movie from last year. So I see a similar situation for that. Okay, lead actor. I'm going with Gary Oldman here. I think he's won everything. I think he's got everything else. Timothée Chalamet, I have in second place. Daniel Day-Lewis in third for Phantom Thread. James Franco in fourth for Disaster Artist, and Daniel Kaluuya in for Get Out in fifth place. Kaluuya again has gotten in everywhere, including BAFTA. James Franco did not put him in. They did not put him in at BAFTA. Otherwise, Day-Lewis was there, Chalamet was there, and Gary Oldman was there. Oh crap! Who did they put in for Best Actor at BAFTA? I forgot who it was now. Damn it! Now I can't remember. I know it wasn't Tom Hanks. They didn't go anything with The Post. Shit! Now I can't remember. Okay, let me look through the list here. Maybe it'll pop up. Oh, yeah, it was Jamie Bell. Yeah, who, doesn't have a shot in hell. Sorry. But anyway, so I think these 5. Now, again, I kind of mentioned it on when we wrapped up the Critics' Choice thing with the Disaster Artist with James Franco, is now all the sexual allegations are coming out. We've actually seen now Ashley Judd came out and defended his statements and said, kind of a big thing about that was saying how, sometimes, this sexual harassment stuff comes out and the punishment is more severe than the crime. At least I think that was what she was trying to say, or kind of one way you can read into her statements there. So she was kind of saying how, the way that James Franco handled it and the way this and that she didn't necessarily think that he was going to get the same downfall that, say, Kevin Spacey or Weinstein or even somebody like Jeffrey Tambor had, or Charlie Rose, or a few of these other ones here. And now, what's his name? Aziz Ansari. I saw an article this morning about that. And but that one, again, just from the way it was, at least the way the article was written and stuff, it made it sound like it's not going to be a big story. At least the one I read. Now, who knows? Maybe if I read another one, it totally sculpts it in a different way. But anyways, we're seeing this continue to be a big thing. With all the movements and Time's Up and Me Too and all these other things, it's continuing to be a big story here in Hollywood. Now, again, like I said the other night, I think I still have Franco in. Again, barring this a case where, let's say this week, all of a sudden we're saying we're hearing it's not just 5 women who accuse him, it's 50. It's if it gets a number that large, like getting up to Weinstein numbers, something like that, and all of a sudden the Academy has to cross his name off the ballot, they're like, in all fairness, we have to crawl. If some big political movement comes up, and the Academy strikes his name off of all the voting ballots, I think that's enough to get him disqualified. But barring that, I don't see a situation where he misses, because really the biggest story came out on Thursday of last week. Academy voting started, I think it was Sunday or Monday of the same week, which means that probably a good balance of the ballots were already in. And I'm sure Franco was on a lot of them, because he's, as far as what I've heard, I'm not in Hollywood, so I don't know for sure. But, everything I've heard is he's been out and about, he's been campaigning hard, he's been at all the events. Of course, he won the Globe on Sunday, and he won the Critics' Choice Actor Comedy Prize, which, silly awards. Anyways, but he won that too, so he's got that support. The Tommy Wiseau thing, and him pushing him back from the mic, that became one of the bigger stories of the Globes outside of the Me Too movement and Time's Up and the Oprah Winfrey speech. Outside of those three big stories, really the biggest one everybody talked about was James Franco pulling Tommy Wiseau away from the mic. And plus, Tommy is campaigning for him too, even though, because another thing too is Franco right now is shooting the second season of The Deuce for whatever network it's on. So, yeah, in the late stretch here, he hasn't been able to campaign as hard, but Tommy Wiseau is still out there on the trail. He's going to all the things. He's sitting down and doing all the TV interviews. So, yeah, that's big, big support for sure. Anyway, so, yeah, and I think, Kaluuya has gotten in everywhere. I think he's safe. The other three are safe. Again, I don't think that the James Franco backlash has started started early enough to affect it to the point where he doesn't get in. If for whatever reason, something big does happen here in the next few days, and all of a sudden the Academy has no choice, they can't nominate him. Tom Hanks, I think, becomes a likely bet. Denzel could easily get in. Gyllenhaal is one people are starting to throw out again after the Critics' Choice. They got reminded he was nominated to Critics' Choice, but he didn't win there, and he's not gotten nominated anywhere else. So I think all his momentum is stopped dead. Now, you might laugh at me at this one, but I think Christian Bale is one. He didn't do a lot of campaigning this year, but usually he does a little bit of campaigning, and and he got in for Big Short. He got in for American Hustle. In at least for me, The Big Short initially, that was kind of a surprise nomination. And then for sure, American Hustle was a big surprise when he got in for that, even though he was nominated at most of the other awards. But still, he's surprised us before. And Hostels, I know some people really like it. Some people absolutely hate it. But Christian Bale, again, he's kind of the actor's actor. He's kind of, he does, a little bit of everything. And, he's been nominated 3 times before. So I don't know. I mean, if something big happens and all of a sudden Franco's done, can't get nominated, then I think any one of those that I mentioned there have somewhat of a decent shot. But I think Tom Hanks and Denzel, I think, would be the first 2 up to bat for that one. Okay. After DGA nominations, I did change my predictions on this a little bit. I have Guillermo still winning, Christopher Nolan in second, Martin McDonagh in third, Greta Gerwig in fourth, and I have Jordan Peele getting in for Get Out. Again, a big sign of Get Out passion support would be if Jordan Peele does get in. Sorry, I had an itch on my foot. And but I could still see Spielberg getting in though. The director's branch does love Spielberg. He wasn't nominated for Bridge of Spies. He wasn't nominated for Tintin or War Horse. He wasn't nominated for a couple other. There's a couple other recent ones here. That he's done that he has been nominated for, but he got in for Lincoln and stuff like that, so he's still on their radar for sure. And also Luca Guadagnino got in at BAFTA, so he could be a surprise nominee here too. The director's branch, usually they do something weird. And also I know it's kind of dangerous to predict because I have all these 5 got in at DGA too. So I don't know, because it's been a long time since we've seen DGA and the Oscars line up 100% on the director's one here. I think we have to go back to the Catherine Bigelow year for Hurt Locker, but I don't know. I think there's enough support for Peele. Plus, it was 2 nominations at DGA, which sure, what's his name got last year for Lion, the director who everybody forgot about already because that movie was not good. And he didn't get in at the Oscars either. So yeah. And that's another thing, too, though, is Lion did not have, a film editing. It did have an acting nomination and a screenplay, but also cinematography, too. So Get Out, I think, is going to have about the same number of nominations if it gets in for director. Otherwise, it gets in for 4, by my estimates here. But I don't know. I think there's just and I think there's a bigger love for this movie too than for Lion. I think Get Out has a lot more support. It's gotten into a lot more guilds. It's got more Globe nominations than Lion did. I think. No, it did. No. Sorry, Lion got in. I think for it was 3 or 4 Globes. They liked it there. So yeah, I'm kind of shaky on it. I could still, I might wuss out and put Spielberg back in before next Tuesday, but yeah, for now, I'm kind of liking Jordan Peele's chances there. Okay, now just to name off, because I think right now I have 7 movies for sure are getting Best Picture nominations. Those are 3 Billboards, Lady Bird, Get Out, Shape of Water, Call Me by Your Name, The Post, and Dunkirk. Sorry if that was really fast, but and then the 3 outside contenders I have are Darkest Hour, I, Tonya, and The Big Sick. Yeah. Otherwise, I had Florida Project in there too, but I think all the support has dropped off. No PGA, no DGA, no SAG except for Willem Dafoe, no Globe except for Willem Dafoe. Very little support from Critics' Choice. It didn't win anything there. So yeah, I'm starting to think with that one that the steam has run out. Even though there's a lot of passionate support for it and everything. I, Tonya has gotten into more guilds. Darkest Hour has gotten into more guilds. The Big Sick, I think, has more broad support than Florida Project at this rate. It's also been more widely seen, bigger box office, and all that. So yeah, those are the 10 I have. Otherwise, I think that's going to be about it. I think it just comes down to those 11. Otherwise, because I don't think it has the support for picture. Mudbound, I'm talking about. That's another one some people have thrown out. Phantom Thread, some people have thrown out. Disaster Artist, Molly's Game got into PGA, but I don't think that has enough support. So, yeah, I think that's all we got for now. But I'm still keeping 3 Billboards out front, though. Okay, so now let's quickly run down the multiple nominees list that I have. So I think the most nominated film, this is going to be no surprise, Oscar morning, it's going to be Shape of Water. I have that one getting into 13 categories. So that's a little ambitious. La La Land got into 14 last year, so it's been a while. I think Lincoln got 12. Let's see, when was the last time we saw a high teens number like that? The Revenant got 13, I think. Wait. I think The Revenant was 12 or 13. That was another big one. Okay, I'm just going to double check this quick before I say that. Okay, picture, director, actor, supporting actors. And I got to do it again. Revenant only got 12 in 2015. Let's see, what else here? What else in recent memories here have gotten that many nominations? Like the lead nominee last year was La La Land with 14, which was probably the last time we get to that, a number like 13 or 14. Let's see, Birdman was up for 9, Grand Budapest was up for 9. I'm just going through the list here. American Hustle and Gravity both had 10. Lincoln had 12. Hugo had 11 in 2011. King's Speech had 12 in 2010. That's another one. Avatar and Hurt Locker both had 9 in 2009, 2008. That was the last time we saw 13 was Benjamin Button got 13. So that would be the last time that has happened. When we've had a number that's exactly at 13. Anyways, so that one. The next most nominated film I have, actually 2 films I have getting 8 nominations. That's 3 Billboards and Dunkirk. Then I have 7 nominations for Darkest Hour at this rate, if it gets one of those Best Picture slots. Otherwise, it'll be 6. Let's see here. Then after that, I have a couple of them getting 5. Blade Runner I have getting 5. Lady Bird and Get Out I have getting 5. Call Me by Your Name I have getting 5. I think that's it for those. Then I have The Post getting 4. I, Tonya, if it gets one of the picture slots, would get 4. Otherwise, it gets 3. What else here? I think that was it for the 4 nominees. Then for 3 nominees, I have Phantom Thread, I have Beauty and the Beast, and Star Wars The Last Jedi. I have the Big Sick I have getting into picture and supporting actress. That could end up with just one if Big Sick doesn't get the 5% of the popular vote. Let's see. Otherwise, for the other ones that have 2 nominations, I have Disaster Artist getting 2, Wonder getting 2, Greatest Showman, Coco, and Baby Driver all getting 2. Yeah, so those are multiple nominees there. So again, I think if we see even if 3 Billboards only gets 7, I think that's still a really great number. Even if Dunkirk gets 8 and it doesn't get 9 or 10, that's fine. Shape of Water, I could see, yeah, getting 13. I don't necessarily, because I've seen some reports saying, oh, it could get up to 15. If it does, wow, that would be the all-time record breaker for most nominees, or sorry, most nominations. Let's see, what else would it have to get into here? It would have to get another supporting actor, probably like Michael Shannon or Michael Stuhlbarg, which I don't think happens. There's no other supporting actress in there. I'm trying to think what else, because I have it in for like cinematography, production design, costume design, score. What would be the other one? I have it in. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I did. Sorry, I didn't mark this down, guys. I film editing too. I have that one. I did not mark that one down. Okay, that makes a big difference. So sorry, that is not 13. I do have it for 14. So, okay, yeah, that changes that a little bit. Sorry, I had that. I had that one. That's totally my fuck up on that. So yeah, 14 nominations I have for Shape of Water. Wow. Okay. I might be over. Maybe I'm overestimating that one a little bit. To have it tied with La La Land and All About Eve and Titanic. Wow. Okay. And especially for that to happen 2 years in a row to get 2 films get 14 nominations. Boy. Yeah, that would be. Yeah, because All About Eve was 1950. Titanic was 97, so that's a long time in between. And then La La Land was another almost 20 years after that. So it's very rare for that to happen. And the spacing in between has just, it shrunk ever so slightly ever since. But it's like, I don't know. Okay, of these 14, is there any one that I'm kind of shaky on that I think all of a sudden could lose? Supporting actress, maybe, if Mary J. Blige does get in for Mudbound. Again, I don't think so because of the Netflix thing, but I could potentially see it missing costume design, maybe. It could fall out of one of the sound categories. Otherwise, the rest of them I think are really safe. So, yeah. So I see maybe a minimum of 11 nominations for Shape of Water. If it does only what it absolutely looks like it's locked in for, it would probably be 11. But I think it does more than that. 14 is my estimate here, which I think is actually the same number it got at Critics' Choice. So, hey, that lines up. Anyway, so yeah, that's a big glaring error on my part. So, yeah, so I could see it getting 15. It would have to get another supporting actor in, I think, because otherwise all the other tech categories I have it getting in for that it's eligible for. So, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, minus that little bit, I think I've got everything else straightened out here. Yeah. Okay. So that makes a big difference there. Okay. Otherwise, so yeah, we've got PGA coming up. Like I said, I think Lady Bird is my prediction right now, but I could be convinced to switch that over to Shape of Water. I could be convinced to switch that over to 3 Billboards. Maybe Get Out gets it to. I think it's one of those 4. I don't see The Post winning there. I don't see who else is. Let me go back to that just to look again at who's nominated here because it's coming up on Saturday, so that's pretty close here. Yeah. Yeah, the other ones are Call Me By Your Name, which I don't think is going to happen. Dunkirk, which has an outside shot, but I don't necessarily think it'll do it. Otherwise, The Big Sick is nominated there. I, Tonya, Wonder Woman, and Molly's Game. Yeah, I don't think any of those last ones have a chance, but yeah, so at best, we have 5 films in the race there if you're looking at the, if it's that competitive. But I think right now, again, I'm sticking with Lady Bird for now, but I could switch it over to 3 Billboards. I could be convinced of that. I could also be convinced of Get Out or Shape of Water. So I think it's one of those 4. They also do have an animated feature category at PGA. I think that's Coco, no questions asked. And then it's SAG. I'll do a separate video for the SAG predictions there. So we'll get to those another time. Probably Probably later on this week we'll get back to those. But I think that one, yeah, that's easily going to be Three Billboards wins ensemble, it wins actress, it wins supporting actor, and then it's just Allison Janney and Gary Oldman. And then stunts goes to Dunkirk. I think it should be an easy 6 for 6 there. All right. So we're going to shut it off there, and yeah, we'll catch you guys next time.